Today's conversation is sponsored by First Generation Capital Partners.
It's impactful because people come back to me and call me and say, they call you by your last name. Like one guy came to me, Latty, I just want you to know I bought my first house. I took your advice, Mm-hmm. And it makes you feel good inside because you never know who you're touching. You just never know.
Welcome to the Going Long podcast. We're back once again to continue to help to educate you so that you feel much more comfortable as well as confident investing beyond your backyard. And yes, I'm your host, Billy Keels, and I am super excited to welcome you back to today's conversation. This is amazing. This is going to be a really, really great one. Great ideas. This is about taking theory and putting it into action and making impact and connecting people and being able to do that from anywhere, all over the place. And oh man, you're just really going to do that. You're going to love it. And all this like in retirement. This is like the cool part. Impact has no age limit. Check this out, everyone. So the cool part is yes, love that you continue to be here. Love that our podcast together, we continue to move up the charts, and largely because you continue to take in the episodes, you share them, you're downloading them, you're sharing them with friends, you're talking about it, which is awesome. And a lot of you are also leaving your honest written review. If you haven't done that, and I know you're like hearing me say this every single time, just take a couple seconds. Apple Podcast platform, there's a short video. Leave your honest written review as well as rating. Would really appreciate that. And it helps us to continue to understand what you like, the things that you'd like to see changed. And sneak preview, there's going to be some things that will be changing sometime soon because your feedback is coming in. So if you haven't done that yet, take a second to leave an honest written review as well as rating. Would really, really appreciate that. And for those of you who want to get the previous episodes, and I'm only going to say this once, just so you know, if you want to find any of the previous episodes, just go to billykeels.com. When you get to billykeels.com, the screen's going to change a little bit, but then you're going to see a tab that says podcast. Just go to podcast tab and you can see every single episode we've ever done. And we're really, really close, I think, to 200 if we're not already over 200 episodes. So go there, check it out. And it'll be fantastic. And then for those of you that are accredited investors and you want to connect with other accredited investors and you are right in this time where like tax season's happening, you're not very happy because you're out there and you're an accredited investor, you're not a real estate professional, and you're trying to figure out what are some of the different cool things that you can do and be a part of. If that's it, you really want to send me an email to aiclub@billykeels.com, aiclub@billykeels.com. It's time to take action. It's time for us to connect. Once I get the email, you and I will get in touch. I'll tell you a little bit more about the club, how you can connect with other accredited investors, gain really exclusive access to deals, opportunities that are just for accredited investors, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, listen, with that stated, we have today a guest who was really phenomenal. I had a chance to meet him personally and really loved his story. He only even goes into a very, very short or small portion of it here. And even with that, it's amazing. After 41 years working in his role, he has now retired and he's really working on making more and more impact and connecting people from all around the globe. He's got a real focus on small multifamily. And I know you're going to get a lot out of this conversation that we have with Mr. Lawrence Latty, and that's coming up just after this. You know what? If you want to know how connecting people combined with a service mentality can accelerate your long distance investing success, then guess what? You're going to want to listen to every single last word of today's conversation. I promise. You know why? Because today's guest not only is, he's a family man with a passion for connecting people from literally around the globe. He spent 41 years of his career working for the Metropolitan Transit Authority of New York. Some would say the MTA. I'm sure he's going to tell us a little bit more about that. He's also the founder of AL Realty. And guess what? He is also the founder of the extremely popular Financial Independence Through Small Multifamily Investing Meetup. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to today's conversation, Mr. Lawrence Latty. Lawrence, welcome to the show.
Well, hey, Billy, how you doing? Thank you for inviting me on your show. It is an honor and a privilege to be on your podcast today.
You know what? I even just talking about you and trying to get the words out, I got all tongue tied. So it's kind of like, I can't even say it. We're excited. I'm so looking forward to the entire Going Long family from around the globe to learn more about your story, the things that you are doing and the impact that you're making on lives all around the globe. So, but here's the thing, Lawrence, everybody's going to get Well, and since today you're our very special guest, everybody gets 5 questions.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get 2 in the beginning. You're going to get 3 in the very end. And then I know that you're also going to get more than 5 questions, but the thing is, I have no idea what those questions are yet. So you're just going to have to bear with me. But if you're okay, I'd really love for the Going Long family to get to start to know you. Are you ready for the question number 1?
Surely.
I knew you would be. So help us understand. I maybe gave a little bit of it away, but not necessarily. Can you help us understand where exactly do you live in the United States?
I am in the state of New York, in the county of the Bronx, New York, the home of hip hop.
Wow, the home of hip hop. I think you guys have a decent baseball team out there somewhere too, don't you?
Yankees. I'm a Mets fan.
All right, see, there you go. I already put my foot in my mouth just from the very beginning. Well, but the Yankees are out over in the Bronx. But yeah, so it's all good. We have a Mets fan here, so fantastic. Appreciate that. And then help us understand, Lawrence, and I know you and I have this in common. What's the most positive thing that's happened to you in the last 24 hours?
Letting go and letting God.
Oh, wow. Love that.
Letting
go, let God. There you go. There you go, everybody. So fantastic. I appreciate you sharing that with us. And you know what? I also just kind of right from the very beginning, Lawrence, I have to admit something to you. I give myself this really impossible task. Like it's almost, well, yeah, it is impossible. Like to tell your entire backstory, I give myself like 3.5 seconds, right? And so that's impossible. I mean, you've done way too much. You've impacted way too many lives. And well, I still have to kind of give myself impossible tasks. But the thing is, the Going Long family, every single conversation, they forgive me. Mm-hmm. And so I'm hoping as our special guest that you'll also forgive me today. But more importantly, I'm hoping that you will also help me by telling your backstory in your own words, sharing it with the Going Long family. And then also, Lawrence, if you could, while you're sharing your backstory, I think it would be really important to also share with us, what are some of the major decisions that you've made to get to this point in your journey during your life, like the major decisions you made in your life to get to this point in your journey? And then from there, well, you know what? We'll see where you and I take the conversation.
Okay, great. Well, let's start it this way. You talk about the 40 years in transit, 41 years I worked for Transit Authority, right? So I got there, and in the 41 years I've worked with Transit Authority, I've taught students, over 900 students, as the operation of trains in the Transit Authority in the train yard. At the same time, my backstory is my parents are from Jamaica, West Indies, right? I want to thank my parents for getting me this far with their love and kindness, right, and support. But they have since passed on. But in that journey, I saw, the road is always laid for us, I believe, right, in good orderly direction, right? I call that God, right? And he lays a path for you. The path is laid straight, and I sort of went to the left, right? I went to the left, right? And it caused me agita, and it caused my parents a little dismay, right? But, you talk about, what did you do to get back on track, right? And what I did to get back on track, that's one of my greatest accomplishments is staying clean, right? And I've been clean for 33 years. So I came back with that. My parents really started the journey also in real estate. You talk about real estate. My parents also started the journey in real estate because we lived in Harlem, and my father bought his first house in the Bronx also. And before this house hacking, all these little terms we have now, right? Those old times of doing house hacking a long time ago, right? Long time ago.
Oh yeah.
We lived upstairs. My father fixed downstairs. He fixed up downstairs first. And we lived upstairs, and he rented it out. Then after that, he went around the corner and bought another house. Then he bought a house across the street. So that's my journey up to that point. Then I retired recently. I retired in July of last year. And now I'm doing some other things also. I started to look at real estate a little bit better from a different point of view. Because my father was doing real estate in those days in the 80s and 70s and 80s, handshake was what it was about. Nowadays, a handshake is, nothing. A handshake, you have a handshake and you have the lawyer sign a contract at the same time. Everything's there at the same time. So I made some mistakes. Not some, I made quite a few mistakes, right? Believing in people, that they're going to pay their rent, right? I lost the building also, right? But through the losses, and through losing the building, you learn, right? Because failure is not final until you stop. And I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping.
Yeah, well, I do know about you. You're not stopping, and failure only happens when you stop. So sorry, I think you were getting ready to say something else, but I don't want to stop you.
No, it's just that, you know what? For me, I didn't want to stop. You know, I hate people talk about tenants, talk about this, talk about that. My father we had a small multifamily, right? So he had a 5-unit, he had 3 units, he had 2 units. So I did everything from A to Z. I can fix pipes, all this stuff. What I've learned from that is that, you know what? You cannot scale if you're doing all that yourself. Plus, you need other people around you. I was the kind of person who always thought about, I can do it myself, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. So when you start realizing that there are certain things that it does not work that way. I mean, even earlier today, I posted something on my LinkedIn that we were talking about perfectionism and wanting to do things by yourself all the time. I mean, I'm a recovering perfectionist, as you know, because I think we talked about this. And it's interesting that you share that perspective with the Going Long family today, because it is at a certain point when you want to do things by yourself, you can only go as fast as you go by yourself. But when you want to begin to scale and when you want to be able to do other things, well, that's when the like I like to say, hashtag teamwork makes the dream work, and being able to bring it together. But let me come. I want to come back to a couple of things, because your story is fantastic, right? I mean, you because you've lived so much, you've seen so many different things, and I want to also recognize and acknowledge and applaud you for, as you mentioned to us in the very beginning, 33 years of being on the sober track. And I think that is absolutely fantastic. Appreciate you just from the very beginning sharing that part of your story with me, with the Going Long family. It's something that is something that we cherish. So like I said, I want to acknowledge you for that. And at the same time, I'm curious when you recognize that you're in a point in your life, because you had a very long career after 41 years and educating over 900 people, which I think is fantastic. 900 students, I think, is what you said. You trained 900 students. Maybe talk to us a little bit about what that was like for you, because that you're really having an impact on training 900 people over the span of time that you were there. That's a pretty massive impact, especially when you're considering it's in a city that, I don't know how many people in New York City are moved every day, but when you consider there's almost 12 million people there, it's pretty impactful. So maybe talk to us a little bit about what that experience was like in terms of the training and seeing your knowledge being transferred to others.
Okay. Well, you know, it's funny you said that, because let me say this. You know, when you train people, right? When you tell the people are interested in how you people. I heard somebody say this. Right? People are interested in hearing you talk a sermon. They're interested in hearing you walk a sermon. Right? And when you walk the sermon, right, it makes people see that what you're saying is real. And what I used to tell students is that, you know, we talk about the transit authority, we talk about rules and regulations, right? But also we also talk about eating, and we talk about economics. I used to always say to people, I know you have a father and mother, right? Because these guys, people come in, men and women come in at 25 years old. I remember them days, right? I came in at 25, right? So I gave you my age right there. Yeah, right? But
we won't tell anybody. Shh.
I don't listen. So what happens is that, you know, you tell people about, I talk about economics, right? Tell them, listen, come to transit. Don't go buy a car your first year. Don't make no major decisions your first year, right? Don't buy none your car, because, you know, everybody gets a good job. They go on get a car, right? You get a free pass, get a hoopty, right? Because you got to get around. And so also, after your first year, make sure you go buy your house, not a single family house, a 2 or 3 or 4 family house, right? To start your education, to start your journey, real estate journey, to get yourself ready for retirement, right? So he's telling us that buy a house, you can buy a house every year, once a year, for 10 years, you're good to go, right? So it's impactful, because people come back to me and call me and say, they call you by your last name. Right? One guy came to me, Latty, I just want you to know I bought my first house. I took your advice, you know? And it makes you feel good inside, because you never know who you're touching. You just never know. As a matter of fact, on that same line, right? the other day on my meetup, which is financial independence through small multi-family investing, shameless plug, 7 p.m. tonight, right?
Well, I don't know when they're going to be listening to it, but yes, on Tuesday nights at it's on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Steve, I gave you the plug. I gave you the plug. They let me do that. They say it's my show, so I can do that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I'm kidding.
So now the other day on the meetup, this gentleman comes on the meetup. So what I do is I usually go around the screen. I just start the meetup, start talking. I go around the screen. Everybody introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I says, my name is Daryl. I was referred to the show by another employer, a transit authority. So after it was over, I called him and talked to him. He said, yeah, that's my lady. You talked to her, you posted her a long time ago, and she remembered you having this meetup.
So then with that, I mean, basically what aside from the impact and the influence that you were able to have in terms of being able to not just talk the talk, but walk the walk, as you said, you're helping to educate not only within the constructs of the MTA, but also life advice, right? And then not only are you seeing people listen to that advice, they're also listening. They're walking the walk, and then talking the talk, and then walking the walk, I guess, in their real lives as well. And then it sounds like a lot of the longer term lasting impact is you're now seeing even people that are wanting to talk to you through your financial independence through small multifamily investing on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. See, I even gave you another plug there. That they're coming back to speak to you. So I think this goes back to a lot of what we were talking about in the beginning in terms of connecting with people, right? But of course, with this show, the Going On podcast with Billy Keels, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you a couple things. So you talked about your father having had the impetus to go out and purchase real estate. Sounded like he was purchasing and kind of on the back of a napkin and handshakes and stuff like that. And life has changed. But what was it that you saw in your father in the real estate that then made you want to continue in real estate, whether that was accidentally or intentionally?
I think, it was accidental and intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Accidental because I was helping as a son, right? As any family member, you want to help your father, right? You help. But intentional because I fell in love with it. I learned.
What did you fall in love with? Because I think for some people say I fall in love with real estate, they'd be like, "What? You fell in love with real estate? What was it about?" I'm just asking because I know the Going On family wants to know.
It's about the talking to people. It's about the doing, right? Learning something new, and learn that success, right? If you fail, it's not the end of the world. Now you got to. If you fall down 7, get up 8. That's it. And I've learned that the hard way, and it's okay because guess what? I'm still here, right? Because yesterday is not a person, right? Yesterday is just yesterday, and yesterday is not coming to look for you. So why are you always looking for it, right?
Yeah.
That's it. I just enjoy the whole thing. I get a rush, like rushing down and doing things, But also learned that, what we talked about just a second ago, you can't scale doing all yourself.
No, you definitely cannot do it that way. And so it sounds like you saw the influence from your father. He was actually going out, he was investing in properties, the smaller multifamily properties. And now you saw that. You also enjoyed aspects of real estate and owning real estate, which I think is fantastic. Now, knowing what you've known and you became much more intentional about it. At the same time, most people, Lawrence, I know they're listening and they're thinking, well, hang on a second. Lawrence said that he was working for the MTA of New York for 41 years. He's retired and now he's decided to do something else. Like, why would you not just kind of chill out, relax, and enjoy retirement, man? So hang on a second, because this is just too great. Like, so if you're listening, you will definitely not have seen the face that Lawrence just put on. So I am going to highly recommend, as I normally do, that you jump over and check out the video version. I don't know when this is happening on the timestamp or any of that kind of stuff, but you should have seen his face when I asked him about retiring. That was funny.
Life is not over till it's over.
Life is
And
not over. So it's a mindset thing.
It's a mindset. Like, I'll be honest, if somebody says to me, when I'm leaving my retirement, right? So you're going to go and sit back and relax and just do nothing? No. Why?
Why not?
Because for me, God's not finished with me yet. There's more to be done. There's goals that I want to reach. I have still my grandkids. I want to help them in some way, fashion, or form, right? So I want to help them. There's more to do. There's more to do, right? There's more to do. You just don't stop.
Yeah, and I think it's important because we do have many of our community also have reached retirement and are still looking for a way to make an impact, a way to spend more time with grandkids, to be able to spend more time with friends, with family that maybe they were working so hard for many years that they didn't get a chance to, or because they've had a life event and they realize, hey, listen, just to your point, Lawrence, that this doesn't last forever. So how can I make the most of the time that I have left on earth, regardless if I'm retired or not? So I think that's key that you help remind us, because it is something that is, no one knows what tomorrow will bring.
Right.
At the same time, so you enjoy real estate, you enjoy connecting people, you enjoy educating people. You happen to live in the Bronx, in New York City. The city's so nice they named it twice, sort of thing. At the same time, I happen to know, because a little birdie told me one day when in this really cool Caribbean island in a buggy, that you also happen to you're interested in even investing beyond your backyard. I mean, you're being intentional about looking for being able to do that and connect people. Why in the world would a guy who's retired, who can just kind of relax, not do too much, still interested in connecting with people and is now looking to invest beyond your backyard? That's so contrarian. Like, why would you even think to do that?
Because I want to invest in right here in New York City, and the prices is crazy. The prices are crazy. But even right now, you got to break your chains. You got to break your chains. You can't just sit still until, like you said, retirement. That's it. Well, I'm going to be happy with what I got. Yeah, there's some people happy with the guy. I'm not saying I'm not happy with what I got, but there's just more. There's more to life, right? There's more to life. There is more to life for me, right? Everybody, what works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for me, but this works for me, right? I can't sit still. When I retired, my kids bought me some lawn furniture and said, "Daddy, please use it." And you know what? I used it for like 1 week, and that was it.
And then it was time to get out and probably. What were you doing after that week? What were you doing after that?
Back on the grind. Listen, for me, it's the grind, right? Grinding, right? Meetups, my meetups. Looking for guests for a meetup, right? I can't sit still. I joke with people until I need to go back to work to relax.
Well, I think you're making a big impact, and probably a lot bigger. Well, not probably. You're making a bigger impact even now that in your new unretired life as a retiree.
I like that.
So we've talked a couple times about this meetup that you have, and I know that this is a meetup that's gaining really, really big support, and more people are joining you. You talked about your dad and small multifamily. You talked about you having a passion for real estate. You've talked about being intentional around the small multifamily, and you even now have a meetup. And so you know that there are a number of people that also have this same passion. They want to connect and things like that. But when did you start this meetup? Why did you start this meetup? And kind of tell us a little bit about the evolution of it.
Okay. Well, what happened is that I've been wanting to start this meetup in 19, right? I want to start this meetup for transit. Because, everybody at work is all talking about, oh, I'm tired of the job's making me sick, yada, yada, yada. But talk is talk, the walk. But what happens, I just couldn't get to find a place, right? And then I really didn't put myself out there enough. But then,
when was it? Well, sorry, when was this? Just to set it in 2019. When was this? What part of 2019? Early 2019.
The beginning of the year.
Okay, beginning of 2019. You had this goal. You wanted to be able to do something for small multifamily and really focus on your colleagues at the Transit Authority.
Right. This is gonna be focused. Everything is focused because right now, because the meetups at that time were all local. Because here in New York City, you have like 20, 30 meetups right? And Brooklyn, Manhattan, the different boroughs.
Yep.
So now I said I'm gonna start a meetup in the Bronx, but then the pandemic came, and during the pandemic, I said okay, and I was making 10 meetups a week when the pandemic, when they started the meetups online on Zoom. I was making 10 meetups a week.
Wow.
And I said, I'm gonna start one. So what I did was I listened to Adam Adams, his meetup. He had a meetup. He was number one meet. He had the number one meetup in the country of top 10. So I listened to that and I printed everything up that he said, and I followed what he said. And also I hired.
Can you, sorry. So, and Adam's a buddy of mine as well. So, can you just repeat that again? Not only did you print out what he said, you did something very unique after that. When you printed it, what did you do after that?
I followed what he said to do.
Does that mean you actually did the steps? So you did the work.
Right.
Okay. That's really important. Going along family. Hopefully you were taking notes as you're running or cooking dinner or whatever. He didn't just hear what Adam was saying. He printed it and then he started taking action. Right. That's very important. So sorry, Lawrence, keep going.
So when the action I took was, he said that make it a niche, right? So you can make a spot. So I was like, everybody had multifamily. So I said, you know what? Let me put small multifamily to separate myself from everybody else. And also he said, when you go into a meetup, right, you also have people form a circle. He formed a circle, and everybody went around in a circle, and you said, you introduce yourself. Therefore, people got to know you. Yep. So I said, well, we can't go around a circle, so I'm gonna go around the screen. That's what it's about. But because meetups is about, it's not just about business, it's about interacting with people, right? And my thing is, I'm hoping to go off the rail here, right? Go off track. But meetups about, networking is about being positive, right? Being producing, right? Creating patterns and prosperity, right?
Oh yeah.
And those are the 4 P's, which is how the person who helped me create that was Jerome Myers. You know him.
Mr. Myers. Yes, we know Mr. Myers as well, which is fantastic. So will you repeat that? So talk to us about what are those 4 P's again?
The 4
and
P's
then what is the outcome that you're looking to get when you combine these 4 P's?
Okay, so first of all, the 4 P's is positivity, right? Prosperity, creating patterns, and producing. So the positivity, if you read To Sell is Human, he talks about, Daniel Pink talks about, there's a study that made about positivity. Positivity can change the whole outcome of anything, right? If you stay positive in front of the person. So positivity is smiling all the time when you go to meet up. Just putting your hand out and say, hey, Billy, nice to meet you. Nice to see you. How you doing? My name is, right? We talk about being prosperous. So how to be prosperous? You want to pour out of you into other people to create value. How you do that? You got to read. You got to listen to podcasts, and you got to read and listen to podcasts. Rinse and repeat, right?
And take action. And take action. Yeah. And
take action. Right. So that's part of being positive. That's prosperity. So now patterns is creating, because we're about to go back to normalcy, I guess. Right. And creating part of patterns is, you don't make a meetup this week, and then next week you don't go.
Yeah.
Right. You got to go to meetup on a consistent basis, because people are the KLT, right? Know, like, and trust you. So people get to know you. But if you only go once every 2 weeks, they only get to know you. If you go every week, they get to know, like, and trust you. And at the bottom of the funnel, as the funnel gets tight at the bottom, they'll come out. They may invest with you, right? And then you have. I forgot the last P. That's it.
In the patterns and
produce. So produce is you have to follow with people. You got to produce. You got to follow people. Help them connect with other people, right? So if they say, Billy says, you know what? Do you know somebody who does who's another connector? Do you know somebody who does this? Yeah, hold on. I'll get somebody. Let me connect you with the person, right? So that's part of the 4 P's.
Okay, so you've got your positivity, prosperity, patterns, and production. So that makes sense. So when you combine these 4, the goal is that part of the connectivity with other people, or is that it?
Right. That's about connecting people, because you want to be your authentic self.
Yeah.
Right. Take the mask off, put the mask on the side, and be you.
So here's my question, because this is part of the fascination, and especially for the going long family members that are either approaching retirement or are in retirement right now.
Mm-hmm.
These patterns, principles that you're talking to us about now, the things that you're learning, because you even started talking about the funnels and things like that. Are these concepts that you knew when you were working at the MTA, or are these things that you have learned in your retirement?
These are things I learned in my retirement.
Yeah.
These are things I've learned, let's say, for the past, not my retirement, these last 2 years, right?
Okay. The last 2 years. Okay.
They come because I hired a coach.
Gotcha.
Number one.
Okay.
And also, when I look back, these are things I do, but I don't know what to call it. I was just doing it.
So right? why would someone hire a coach in retirement?
Because
let me ask you a specific question. Why did you hire a coach in retirement? Because some people are like, man, I don't do anything else. This is just time to relax.
Because I don't know it all. And I want to move a little bit faster.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna say I follow everything my coach says sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. But you know what? It helps you move faster. It helps to create a bond with other people also. As you can as I can attest, I didn't know you before. So we went to that Caribbean island in the beginning of March, right?
That's correct. And everyone, I can tell you that, yes. So I Lawrence and I know one another, and he was brave enough to trust me to let him let me drive him around in a buggy. Anyway,
let it stall.
Yeah, don't let it stall. Yeah. Anyway, that was fun, and of course, it stalled. I don't know how many times, but the beauty of that is, right, when you're having the opportunity to share, you decided that you wanted to continue your education, investing in a coach in retirement, because you still have goals, you still have dreams, and you need someone to give you that other perspective so that you can move further faster, which is something that I appreciate. Now, listen, before we go into the going long final three, because we got to get there here pretty soon. I know one of the things that you're really passionate about, aside from your small multifamily meetup, is this concept of connecting. I mean, we were talking before, and you were like the second person that recommended a specific book to me. And I know that you have this passion for being able to literally connect people in different places, but it's something that's very unique. And I think it's not something that a lot of people have heard of before. And maybe if you could tell us what that is, and how you're really working on connecting people face to face in a very unique kind of way. And also too, because I mean, everybody has challenges. Maybe if you could share one of the challenges and one of the positive parts of this unique connecting experience.
Okay, well, let's start the challenges first. One of the challenges.
Well, tell us what it is first. Tell us what it is, because I know what it is, but the Going Long family doesn't know what it is. How you're connecting people uniquely.
The challenge is for me is to before I was doing it by myself. So the challenge was for me to find the who, not the how.
Yep. But hang on, before you go there, but let's tell them what it is. So, because you are connecting people, like you live basically in New York, you live in the Bronx, but you're organizing connection points. But where are these connection points? Are they online? Are they in a different place, physical location? Where are these connection points, and what are they?
Well, they're on some are online, some are long distance.
Yeah.
Some are right here in New York City, because what I'm doing now is I connect people. I'm gonna have a lunch series out here in the city.
Perfect.
Right, with people who live in New York City, right? There's some people who are different. They're different. They don't eat. They don't do nothing on Saturdays. So I'm having Fridays to bring people together on a Friday.
Fantastic. And I think you've even gone out of state connecting people. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we went to Atlanta. I went to Atlanta also. We had a networking dinner, right, by reading this book, Mastermind Dinners by Jason Garanard. I read this book, and I said that's a way to meet people, but also put people together, right?
So I just want to stop there. So I appreciate you sharing that, because not only are you continuing to be active, connecting people, going back to what we were talking about before, and once again, and I just want to continue, because this is about mindset. It is in your retirement years, you are still driven to attain your dreams, and you're doing that through connecting people. You're doing that virtually, online, because you have a passion for small multifamily. You've seen how it can add value to lives, how it can impact lives. So you've brought that virtually. You're organizing meet up face to face in New York City. And you've even though you live in New York, you have organized dinners, something, once again, you read a book and you took the content of the book and put it into practice, and you organized a dinner in a different city, Atlanta, so it's just about taking the knowledge and applying it. So I also too want the Going Long family to see what are the patterns. Once again, it's not just book knowledge and it stays there. It's, you talk the talk and you walk the walk. So now we understand that you organize these dinners and that are even in a different city. Talk to us, first of all, what are maybe one of the challenges of doing something like that?
Well, one of the challenges is that I figured out right after the fact was that I book a room, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I booked the room. Everybody didn't show up at one time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now what happens now is that I had to pay out of my pocket for that room, right? But you know what? It's okay, because you know what? It's not a failure, because failure is a life lesson. So now the next one I'm having, which is going to be in Miami, right? It's you got to pay in advance.
Okay, so perfect. So you've learned something, number one. You still have the life lesson. You still have that massive smile. And talk to us about one of the positive things that comes out of organizing something like this.
People, for me, the positive is making connections with people. It's just wonderful to see at the dinner in Atlanta, and even when you had in New York City and in New Jersey, people reached out to each other, right? And they're still connecting, right? So you create more like a family also. You create a family, because my meetup is a family meetup. I'm not gonna lie. I may get off track, but the other day, somebody called me from the meetup and they told me that their father was sick. And it's touched me, because like she said, the person said, you know what? We're family. And I just feel we're family. So it's not just a meetup. And that just makes me feel good, because, it's not just about business. It's more, goes more than business. A meetup, relationships is more than business. It's all about creating relationships, getting to know people,
Yeah. At the end of the day, this life is about relationships, and everybody is one relationship away from whatever that next deep relationship is. And those are the things that we remember when it's all said and done. It's not how much does someone have, or how much does, how many assets do they have? I mean, those things are important. I wouldn't say that they weren't, but it's the relationships that you had. Were you there when you needed to be, and things like that. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, because it's, this is one of the things, it's also a passion project for you, where you take knowledge and you're putting it into action. You're seeing that if things do not work perfectly, it doesn't sound like the first restaurant thing that you did in Atlanta worked perfectly, but guess what? You learned from that. I'm going to assume, and I would love for you to validate this, that the things that you're doing in Miami, the things that didn't work, I bet you have solutions to not have the exact same thing repeat itself.
Right. Well, I have solutions. Okay. I have solutions.
As you talked about before, paying in advance.
But you know what happens? I can't control everything.
Yep.
So paying in advance, not paying in advance. So what's going to happen is going to happen. Because in the beginning of the podcast, you asked me, was a positive thing?
Yep.
Don't let in God. That's what I did, because the other day, I was like, who ain't RSVP? Oh my gosh, you know what? I'm letting go. I'm letting God.
Yeah.
What B's going to be. And those who are there, I'm meant to be there.
Yep. Those are going to be there. So, well, listen, I appreciate you sharing that with us. And the thing is, Lawrence, I know I get to talk to you. I'm going to keep talking to you forever. So that's kind of cool. But what I would like, I kind of have to get us to the Going Long final 3, because we're right about that time. But the thing is, Lawrence, I never ask any of our special guests, and today you are a very special guest, I don't ask them the Going Long final 3 unless they tell me. So unless you tell me that you're ready for me to ask you the Going Long final 3, I won't ask you. So are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah. Yes, you are. You ready? Ready. Okay, cool. So here we go. So we started with you over in the Bronx of New York City. Mm-hmm. I'd now like to bring it back to my new adopted side of the pond, which is over here in Europe. So I would love for you to share with us, Lawrence, Mr. International Latty. That's an inside joke between us. So, and I know that people are going to be reaching out to you, so they're going to have to ask you what that's all about, because now's not the time to tell them. But I would love for you to share with us, what is your favorite European city that you've either visited or is still on your bucket list to visit?
My bucket list European city is Paris.
Paris. Wow, Paris, c'est magnifique. Wonderful. And well, you know my story in Paris, so I love Paris as well. So cool. All right. So question number 2, here we go. And this is one of the things that I've noticed, Lawrence, from being very, very fortunate. I have seen and met a lot of very successful people. I consider you to be someone who is extremely successful as well. And because of that, I'm hoping that you will agree with me that one of the reasons that people that are successful tend to be successful is because they, unlike most people, Lawrence, when they put their mind to something, the very first time that they do it, they get it right. And then they continue to do more and more of this. Oh my God. Did I just do that? I think that was a joke. Don't worry, Lawrence. Lawrence was really worried about me, everybody. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they do. So anyway, no, this is an inside joke with me and the Going Long family. I do this all the time. It's don't worry. Thank you, though. You were so, his face was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Anyway, no, I have fun. I love doing this podcast. I love sharing this. But here's the reality. Everybody makes mistakes, Lawrence, even successful people. The reality is successful people, and this is something that most people don't talk about, like really successful people, they make a whole lot more mistakes than most people, probably 20 to 50 times more than most people. But this is true. And this is no joke. This is no joke, Lawrence. The thing about really successful people, when they make these mistakes, especially the ones that are really relevant, or maybe you call them a learning opportunity. I don't know what you want to call it, but you know what I'm talking about. Every single time that those things happen, without a doubt, every time they stop, they take inventory of what happened. They then start to say, all right, I'm going to put different strategies, tactics, and actions in place so the exact same things don't happen again. So I don't want you to think about the mistake or the learning opportunity, but I really want you to think about what is the one lesson that you know the Going Long family needs to hear today to minimize the probability of that negative thing happening to them. What's that one lesson you want to share with us?
The one lesson is it's you against you.
It's you against you. I love that. Drop the mic. Oh, I can't drop the mic because it's just here in front of my face. But yes, it's you against you. Love that. It's going to be in the show notes. And then lastly, Lawrence, just going to ask you, what is the one book that you would recommend to the Going Long family today?
You Can't Hurt Me. I can recommend a whole bunch of books, but You Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins.
You Can't Hurt Me, Mr. David Goggins. That's a classic. It's a fantastic book, and we are definitely going to. You can over-deliver. Go right ahead, sir.
Okay. Who, Not How, Dan Sullivan.
There you go. That's the second time you've talked about that book. I think it's had a big impact on you. Me too, and lots of the Going Long family. So we're going to go with You Can't Hurt Me, and then you know what? We'll go ahead and give you a second book as well because you're an over-deliverer, which is fantastic. So. I'm thinking about the beginning of our conversation and us highlighting the fact that you love connecting. We talked about the fact that having over the span of 41 years, you've impacted 900 plus lives and students that were part of the MTA. You shared with us a very important part of your life where you decided to go left. And in spite of going left, you were able to come back and be in a position where you continue to positively impact lives, doing that in a manner in which is sober for the last 33 years and will be many, many more years to come. You have a passion for connecting people. You shared with us not only that do you take in the book knowledge, you then take that knowledge, that theoretical knowledge, put it into practice. You have a passion for not only, you know what, you wanted to start with your group with the MTA, but you've realized that there is a lot of passion that comes through being able to find financial independence through small multifamily investing. You've done that in your online platform. I know that every single week on Tuesdays at 7 p.m., and hopefully it stays that way forever, because if not, now it's going to be time-stamped and people are going to have to figure out when it is that people are going to continue to gain value from that. And also the fact that you want to continue in your retirement years to make an impact, to go after your dreams and go after your goals. And you're not only in New York City, but you're in other states and other cities. And now you're even looking to go beyond your backyard in terms of investing. And I know that I'm going to stay in touch with you, but there are so many people that are part of the Going Long family now, Lawrence, that are thinking, oh my gosh, I got to get in touch with Lawrence. I want to find out more about it, what he's doing. He told me this thing, but I'm not there on Tuesdays. How else can I get in touch? Help us understand, Lawrence, what is the best way for the Going Long family to know more about you, get in touch with you, find out what your company's doing, things like that?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. You can reach me at LinkedIn And also, you can give me a call. I don't do Calendly. If I can't talk to you, I can say I can't talk. Give me a call later on. All right. And my number is 646-250-8430.
All right. You gave it, not me. So
it's all right, man. It's all right.
Yeah, I know. It's all good. It's all good. Well, listen, so Going Along family, and you know this about our protocol. When you reach out to Lawrence, make sure that you let him know, send him a personalized invitation on LinkedIn and let him know that you've already invested your time listening, watching this conversation today, and you want to continue to have the conversation moving forward. So that's going to help the two of you have a conversation that's even, you've already invested time together, and it's just going to make the conversation that much better between the two of you. So with that, Lawrence, I just want to say thank you once again, man, for deciding to invest your time with me, the entire Going Along family. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you from the bottom of my heart, man.
Well, thank you, Billy, for inviting me on here. And thank you for letting me get to know you when we were away in the Caribbean.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, if you give me we had a good time in St. Lucia. It was very nice. So if we can, also, if you give me just like 10 seconds, I just want to say goodbye to the Going Along family until next time, or hasta la próxima, as my children would say. Going Along family, wow. Had a chance to learn so much from Lawrence. See what it's about. It's not just listening to the podcast and not doing anything with it. Make sure that you take today's conversation, share it with your family, share it with your friends, have the conversation, talk about the things that you could be doing, preparing in your retirement, connecting with new people. He gave you the 4 Ps that you can go through and make sure that you're having a bigger impact in the outcomes that you want in your life. And you know what? While you're doing those activities, I'm really going to be looking forward to welcoming you back on the very next conversation. So until then, go out and make it a great day. And thank you very much.